With all this AI technology coming out and stuff like that, a lot of industries are going to get totally disrupted.
I really want people to get some tactical tools from you because you're so brilliant. Somebody else is listening to this and they're starting from scratch. Step one, what are the non-negotiables that you need to have in your business to make it successful?
With the new business, momentum is everything.
Yeah. Oh.
Phase one is
Take me back to a clever investor and the decision that you made to take a very profitable company and brand that you've been doing for a very long time and exit that company to reinvent.
I do not want to show up at my gravesite and I look back and I go, God, I wish I would have started that business. I wish I would have made that phone call. I wish I would have asked that girl out. I wish I was a better father. Okay, who do I need to become right now to level up and step into my full potential?
I want to talk about love.
I've screwed a lot of stuff up in my past relationship. I was addicted to working because I was hiding my pain and achievement. If you're always on the go and you don't believe that there's anything bigger than you out there to connect with and to talk to and to pray with and to meditate on, it's a major missing piece in your life.
It's like, I want to know what your big why is, like your big picture. What are you going for?
I want to.
Welcome to the Jen Gottlieb Show.
Podcast family, welcome back. Before we dive into the show, I wanted to give you a quick heads up about something super exciting that I want to invite you to. Our next event, Build Your Brand Live, is happening on May 17th, 18th, and 19th in Atlanta. Build Your Brand Live is going to be epic this year. We have some of the greatest speakers in the world, including Jamie Kern-Lima, Trent Shelton, Jesse Itzler, myself, Chris Winfield, my amazing husband, and we're going to be teaching you everything you need to know to build a profitable brand online. So if you're building a brand, building a business, creating content, you definitely want to be there. And if you're just curious about where to start when it comes to being seen and building a brand online, you definitely want to be in this room with 500 other amazing people to connect with, network with, and have a hell of a lot of fun with. So don't hesitate. The link is in the show notes where you can get your ticket today. I hope to see you there. And now, here's the episode.
I am beyond excited that you're here. It is so perfect because you're like my OG mentor.
Look, come on.
No, for real, Cody, I don't think you realize this. Like, I really want to tell you this on the air, on the podcast, in front of everybody, that way back in the day, you were one of the first people that really believed in me when I said I wanted to do all of this. And so that the fact that you're sitting here and we get to do this interview and I get to interview you, you've interviewed me twice.
I know.
But this is great. Get to be in the driver's seat.
And what a set. Holy moly. This is fantastic.
You like my house?
I love it. It looks great.
Welcome. All right. So this is a really perfect time for us to do an interview together because I have so many questions for you just generally as a friend, but really like all about this whole new reinvention of Cody Sperber.
Yes.
I want you, just for the listeners so that they can catch up a little bit, take me back to clever investor and the decision that you made to take a very profitable company and brand that you've been doing for a very, very long time and exit that company to reinvent, because you did. So let's go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first up, thanks for having me on. That's pretty exciting. I've been doing real estate for over 20 years. And at first, it was just the real estate business. For the first 7-8 years, that's all I did was focus on my real estate business. Started off wholesaling, then rehabbing, and then owning rental property, and then eventually got into building properties from the ground up. We started a development company. And along that journey, I had to teach myself how to be an investor and an entrepreneur. And I got pretty dang good at it, to the point where everybody was coming to me saying, well, how do you do your lead generation? How do you do your marketing? You got to realize, like, a lot of my evolution was right at the birth of social media, and online was just becoming really big. And I was real aggressive because I was young, I was kind of tech savvy. And so I was really aggressive building email lists and doing direct response marketing before I even knew what that was. And so I was outperforming my competition by a long shot, because I was always seeing the cutting edge tools and tech coming out long before. So I was the first investor in the country to use mass email marketing.
Can we just pause for a second? Did you just know that? Did you feel it in your gut that this was going to be a thing? Or did somebody tell you? How did you?
No, it's just, for me, it was kind of gut intuition, common sense. Because what I used to do is I would drive around town in my crappy Nissan pickup truck, and I would go to every real estate brokerage in town. And when you would walk in the front door of like a Coldwell Banker or whatever, there'd be like this thing on the wall where every realtor's business card would be sitting in like this thing, right? And so I would walk in, I'd say hi to the receptionist, I'd grab every single realtor's business card, wave to her again, and then walk out. And then I would go one at a time emailing them, and it would take hours and hours and hours. I'm like, there's got to be a better way than this. Well, I'm at playing golf. I go check in to play golf at this little tiny crappy course. And I'm not even a golfer. I just randomly met somebody there that invited me to play golf. And there was the guy checking me in was on a computer, kind of multitasking, checking me in, but working on something at the same time. And I'm just a nice guy. So I said, hey, what is that? And he said, well, it's this thing that I'm building for the golf course. I'm a programmer. And I said, what does it do? And he goes, it like mass emails out coupons to all of our golfers. And it was like, bink. I'm like, can I have that? And he goes, why would you want this? And I'm like, I'm a real estate investor, and I'm emailing all these people all the time. Can I click one button and email everybody? This is in 2000 and I want to say 5.
Wow.
So it didn't, these things like mass email marketing wasn't a thing.
No.
And so he was like, well, how much would you pay me for it? And I'm like, thinking like, I don't even know what this is yet, but I'm like, I'll give you $50. Right? Because that's all the money I had. And he's like, wow, you'll pay me $50 for this? Bring your computer over here and I'll install it. It was actually a desktop application. And it was called C2C, click to consumer or something like that. And he installed it, and I uploaded every single realtor's list in town, all the emails, and I started mass emailing out, and I was selling properties like hotcakes. It was awesome. But it taught me a very important lesson of being able to use cutting edge technology to go fast. And so ever since then, I started thinking to myself, well, what else am I not seeing? Well, as I was texting a lot of my buyers, I'm like, well, how do I do mass texting? I was the first investor in the country to build a platform that did mass emailing, mass texting, and mass ringless voicemail. And I called it the M3, the mobile marketing machine. And I was just using it in-house, and it was my little competitive advantage tool. And this was like 2007 by the time I evolved.
Did you teach yourself how to do all this stuff?
When I say I built it, I hired somebody to build it. But yes, I'm all self-taught.
Yeah.
And so anyways, that was always my thing, but I got really good, and people started coming to my office and saying, well, can I have that? Or will you teach me how you're doing what you're doing? And because I was in the Navy, I was really good at systems. They force you to systematize everything. You want to make your bed?
I didn't know you were in the Navy.
No way.
So I just learned something completely new. I'm like, did he just say when I was in the Navy? How long were you in the Navy?
Yeah, I was a seaman. Come on, that's good.
Yeah, it was really good.
That was good. No, yeah, I was in the Navy for 4 years, 1998 to 2002.
Okay, all right. So in the Navy, you learned
systems,
all of these
right?
systems.
Everything.
Systems.
Everything's a system. I got to make my bed a certain way. I got to fold my clothes a certain way. I got to shine my shoes a certain way.
Interesting how the dots connect.
Yeah, and so I took that structure when I got out of the military, and I looked around the real estate business, and I realized everybody's winging it. Nobody had their stuff together. And I was like, okay, I'm going to systematize everything. So I did something really smart. And whenever I coach new entrepreneurs now, I'm like, one of the best things I ever did was Systems Saturday. Mm-hmm. Every Saturday I worked and created one SOP every single Saturday. And I did it for years, to the point where everything in my business eventually became super documented and systematized. How do I send out a mass email? How do I publish a property on my website? How do I communicate and pitch a property to a cash buyer? And I would just document and systematize it all. And then I started outsourcing everything and delegating and automating or stuff like that.
Right.
So anyways, people started coming to me, and one guy said, hey, I'll pay $10,000 if I can follow you for one day and get my hands on your software. And I'm like, you're going to pay me $10,000 for one day? And he's like, yeah. And so he did. And a couple weeks later, he circled back around. He's like, that one day changed my business. I'm on this really fast roll right now, and I'm making all this progress. I have a friend that wants to do the same thing. Would you do it with him? And it just snowballed around town like that. And that's how the Clever Investor was born. People started coming to me, calling me the Clever Investor.
Who was the first person to call you the Clever Investor?
Well, the first one, just people in my office, people around me, like, you're so clever, because everything I did was very creative. But eventually, people in town started calling me that. Then I was like, oh, I need a hook. Because with branding, you always need a hook, mm-hmm. right? I go meet people all the time. And if I just go, hey, I'm Cody, or Cody Sperber, mm-hmm. they don't remember me. Mm-hmm. But if I'm big Cody from Texas and I was a really big guy, they'd go, oh, that's that big Cody from Texas guy. So I just kept repeating every time I met somebody, hey, it's Cody Sperber, the clever investor.
Yeah.
And it took shape. And eventually everybody in town started going, well, if you want good training, go see Clever Investor. And so that's how the education business was born. In 2009, I had so many people coming to me that as a side hustle, because when I was a little kid, I actually wanted to be a history professor. That was one of my goals. And then I got into real estate and changed my life. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll teach. Maybe I'll start an education company as a side hustle, not thinking anything other than I love real estate. It's fun to talk about.
Yep.
I enjoy it. I love helping people. And then that little side hustle business, my first year, I broke $1 million. The second year, we did over $3 million. And before you knew it, I was doing $10 million and $25 million. And it was just like this rocket ship.
What I love about this is I'm just thinking about the listener right now and the questions that I always get asked. And it's like, oh, do I need to have the plan completely mapped out in order to start? And I'm sitting here listening to you and you literally just did the next thing that was in front of you. You went, you're like, I need this software. Okay, I'm going to start to use this software and, oh, this is working for me. And then someone's like, can you teach me? Okay, I'll teach you. I didn't know I wasn't the clever investor. I didn't know I was going to have this huge educational platform. You had no idea. You just kind of took the next best step and then you were enjoying it. So you kept going in that direction and it kept growing and growing, right?
Yeah. And I look around and so many people, their intuition's screaming at them.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, go do this, or this feels right, go, move forward. Or it's screaming the opposite direction, like, this is bad, that person's bad. You're about to cut a deal with the devil, or this person you shouldn't do anything with, or don't make this move. But they don't listen. They instead go around asking advice, and they're so worried about getting other people's opinions and stuff that they never follow their guts. I was the opposite. I always followed my gut.
How do you know the difference between your gut, intuition, and fear?
I think I feel fear all the time. I've never let that stop me, but I've always moved forward with calculation. So I'm not just, like I said earlier, winging it. I'm not just going to just kind of roll the dice on something. I'm always really analyzing it. I'm one of those weird people that's kind of right brain, left brain.
Yeah.
And I'm able to analyze very methodically, but also have like a lot of creativity and like future casting. And I can kind of see where I want to go with clarity.
So let me give you an example. So when you're trying to make a decision, this is for like, even for me, when I'm trying to make a decision between one thing and the other thing, and one thing really feels like, oh my God, that's my gut intuition. Like, you totally shouldn't do that. Your gut's telling you not to do that. How do I know if that's really my gut intuition or if that's fear saying don't do that because that's actually going to move you forward and you're just scared to do that, but that's the thing you need to do? Like, can you decipher between the two of those? Because I have a hard time.
Yeah, I think I can. And I've moved forward against my intuition, and it's crushed me in the past.
Yeah. So you know the difference.
I do know the difference.
And it's just something internal that you can't really explain?
Mm-hmm. If it's true fear, like if I'm really staring at something and I'm like, this is really going to be painful, don't do it, I don't do it. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not even, I would not even consider doing it.
So you won't, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But most of the things that I'm moving forward on it's scary. I feel that fear. But I'm like, the payoff is so much, so valuable that I have to do it. You got to understand, I triage my fears. And my number one biggest fear is regret. I do not want to show up at my gravesite at the end of my time where I'm out of energy and it's done for me. And I look back and I go, God, I wish I would have. I wish I could. I wish I would have started that business. I wish I would have made that phone call. I wish I would have asked that girl out. I wish I would have done something. And I'm looking back now, I wish I was a better father. And so I value time more than most people. And so if it's one of those things where I'm like, I can go fast, I'm going to cut the check, I'm going to go fast. Mm-hmm. If it's one of those things where it's going to waste a bunch of time, I don't do it.
You're really good at that. You really are. You're really good at knowing like when to move forward, and you're really good at actually being really meticulous. I think, and this is what I've just observed of you, like you know what you're doing when you do it. You're very, and that's why you're a great investor. That's why if I were to put my money anywhere, I would put my money with you, because you really look into things before you do it. But you're courageous enough to take action, even if you don't have every single detail, but you have as much details as you know.
Yeah, and I surround myself with winners. I think that's the other piece.
You're listening to The Jen Gottlieb Show.
I was never alone. I don't want to leave the concept of having a great mentor or mentors or great consultants out of the picture. Very early on, one of the biggest needle movers in my life was meeting a guy named Lyle Wall. Lyle Wall changed my trajectory as a real estate investor. I was failing miserably, struggling all over the place. He put the blinders on me and said, Cody, you're overthinking everything. You're over planning, over preparing, like just do these things. And I realized early on in my career, like, wow, having somebody that can teach you things you can't learn in books is so valuable, more valuable than any amount of money I could have paid Lyle to be a mentor for me. And because of his wisdom and teaching me that all business is just you mastering the art of leverage. You're right. I was leveraging Lyle's resources, his knowledge, his skill, his time, his connections. And he taught me like everything in real estate and everything in entrepreneurship is just becoming a master of leverage. And so I very early on started cutting checks to get proximity to power players that I really couldn't afford. So if I was going to invest in anything before I ever bought a car or upgraded to a fancy watch or anything like that, I was always like, okay, who do I need to hire in my world to make me a better email marketer, to make me a better real estate investor, to make me a better money raiser, to make me a better personal brand builder.
Yes.
And like for you, we hired you at one point.
Yeah.
And I said, I need to be better at getting my name out there. You know,
Yeah.
And very quickly you put me on tons of news channels and all these publications. And it was one of the biggest needle movers in my personal brand and development of my personal brand. And we paid you a ton of money. Like that was not cheap.
No, PR is not cheap. But I want to talk now about this reinvention of yourself, because now you're stepping into new territories that you weren't maybe the biggest expert in before. Maybe like you have a lot of knowledge now that leads into this new company that you just told me that you're starting. But are you, as far as mentorship goes, are you still seeking out mentors for things that you don't know about? Yeah. Tell me about that.
That's a never-ending journey.
That's a big deal. Like someone like you that's this successful, and I want everyone that's listening to really pay attention. You might think, oh, he doesn't need a mentor anymore. He is the mentor.
Yeah.
But you're still seeking out mentors.
Honestly, I feel like I'm just getting started. Like
Right.
if you really
I
think about like just you where you're at right now, we're all still that little kid.
Yeah.
Right? Inside, we're still that little kid just trying to like be something and be significant and be great and do great things. And so for me, like coming out of the education business, that took up so much of my time that now that I have all this time, I was like, okay, well, like what's this future Cody look like? Well, 2 years ago, I went through a divorce. At the same time, my mother was passing away from cancer. And sometimes it takes a guy like me that's always on this like go, go, go energy. I need to get my ass kicked, completely ran over, fail miserably, kind of get to that point where you're in rock bottom's basement, and then you surrender. And you slow down long enough to like, okay, who do I need to become right now to level up and step into my full potential? And it was in that moment I realized, man, you suck at the spiritual game. You suck at the relationship game. You're not doing a very good job as a dad. And that was actually the beginning thought process of like, what would my life look like if I didn't have Clever Investor, if I wasn't known as the Clever Investor? Who could I become if I wasn't there? And so I went on this big spiritual journey. I went on this health kick. I'm 45 years old. I'm doing all this biohacking crazy stuff. At the same time, I got a six pack for the first time in my life and muscles.
You look amazing. And I watched you do it, all those runs with the video camera, like going live, but running, you put in the work.
Yeah. And then I asked myself, like, financially, how do I get better? And one of the things that was very clear to me is that it's time to evolve your brand and move on from being known.
Know that. And that's a big thing to let go of and to move on from. So I want to dive.
And it was a cash cow. It is a cash cow. It's a beautiful business. Online education is a beautiful business to be in when you're really good at it. But I looked at it. I looked around and I said, one of the things I really was interested in getting into was home services businesses, and that's because you think of things like what can be disrupted and what cannot be disrupted. And with all this AI technology coming out and stuff like that, a lot of industries are going to get totally disrupted. Home services is not one of those things. Like people will always need, roof repair and plumbing and, new floors and new kitchen cabinets and stuff like that. And a robot, that's a long way off. So Plus, it's a scalable business. It's a very buyable business. Once I exited one company, I was like, ooh, I like this. I want to exit. I want to build and scale companies and exit lots more companies. It's fun to get paid 8 figures.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden this big amount of money comes in and you're like, okay, I want to do that 10 more times. And so I decided to start, I talked to a couple of my best friends. We started a company called Floor Daddy. We're going to make flooring sales sexy.
It.
Yeah.
Sexy floors.
And I got, as a marketing guy, I got all these visions of like, I want, like whenever somebody like hires Floor Daddy, they're going to get a calendar. And I can picture like one of our floor installers, like, do you like the sexy Latino daddy installing your floors?
So good.
And we'll have a calendar, but they'll be like normal people, but like holding like wood and so on. It's like, do you want that, cheap wood or you want that thick, good wood? Just.
Or do you want that thick, good wood? That's what she said.
But it's got to be affordable, right? And you look at the flooring space, AI can't disrupt it. And with interest rates so high, a lot of people aren't moving. And so they're staying in their current properties and they're renovating. And so we see the opportunity there.
Huge.
And as marketers, I can outperform all these boring old flooring people.
Yeah.
Do way better.
Yeah. And you can use all of the stuff that you learned as an internet marketer and put it into something where I think a lot of these companies in flooring and in construction aren't necessarily experts in online marketing. So this is where you
and it's kind of fun. Like imagine shutting down. I've had my Instagram since 2011.
How did that feel to have to start over?
It's been great.
You love it?
Oh, I love it. I have a new voice. I have renewed energy. I'm excited. The algorithm's working for me, not against me. When you have an older Instagram, I had over 1.1 million followers. The algorithm was not helping me. And I'm not doing crazy skits. I'm not doing wild things. I'm pretty standard entrepreneur that talks motivation, personal development, and investing. So it was hard to break through the algorithm. I started a new Instagram page. I have like 7,000 followers right now, 8,000 followers, but I'm getting 50, 60, 80, 100,000 views on Reels off 7,000 followers.
Wow.
It's because what I was doing was working. It's just the algorithm was working against me.
Right.
So now I got a fresh, clean thing. Instagram's not pulling my content back.
So good.
Yeah.
I want to shift a little bit. I want to talk about love because you're in love.
Yes.
And I see a whole...
And she's here.
She's here. I see a whole new Cody. Like I see a whole new Cody, and it really all happened at one time. And so all this whole shift, it really I don't think it was a coincidence. Talk to me about that.
Well, like I said, when you fail in a marriage and you're kind of at this rock bottom place where I made a decision that I was going to go get help. I was going to go get the therapy I needed because I just kept hearing this voice in my head saying like, who do you need to become to attract a valuable woman in your life and really find real love? And I knew there was a bunch of bad habits and things that I was doing that I needed to stop. I knew I wanted to get in shape. I knew I needed to be the best father of my life and really lean in on my relationship with my kids. I had to get back in alignment with my purpose and where your words and your thoughts and your actions, everything just was in alignment. Mm-hmm. And so phase 1 was go get help.
Yeah. Tell me about that. What help did you seek? What kind of therapy did you do?
I went to psychological counseling services in Scottsdale, Arizona. And you got to remember, I was carrying a lot of pain because my mom just died.
Yeah.
And I was living alone for the first time in a long time. I was with my ex for 18 years. So it's like you're sitting there, you're kind of like in this empty apartment, crying yourself to sleep, looking around like, how did I get here? I ruined my family. I ruined my relationship. Like, how did I get here? But when you finally surrender and you go get help, I did every type of therapy under the sun. Thank God I did. I wish I would have done it a decade earlier. They put you through horse therapy, one-on-one therapy, group therapy, acting therapy, EMDR therapy, somatic release breathwork therapy, all these modalities and things that are designed to move the needle and help people that are stuck in. And it's weird because if you would have asked me, like, do you have any addictions? I would have said, no. I did. I just didn't realize I was addicted to working. I was hiding my pain and achievement. And there's a lot of people that do that.
Let's go into that a little bit. I don't want to pause there because I think there's a lot of people listening to this that are probably resonating right now. So you were addicted to the achievement. What did that look like for you?
Well, as a kid, I was bullied a lot. So you grow up wanting significance. You grow up wanting to like regain back control in some way, shape, or form. This is what makes us great entrepreneurs. Like, we fight the system. We don't want to be pushed around any longer. We want to do things our way and have some form of control. And so I started to scale businesses, and those companies I controlled. And when I walked in the room, people listened, and I was the man, and but then I would go home at night and everything was out of control again. And there was this disconnect of like, and I was almost authoritative at home, and it was just it was a bad vibe. And so I was running back to work every chance I could to get back to that feeling of like, okay, I'm back in pocket. And I did that for so long that over a long period of time, like your relationships with your family and your ex and your kids and your best friends and everything, it's just like this 1 degree difference over a long period of time, and you just disconnect. And I was really great at compartmentalizing and bearing any BS, any pain. And so I did that for so long that it became such ingrained into who I am that I didn't know how to undo it. And I didn't even realize I was doing it at the degree I was doing it. And then you go through this therapy, and like one of the first things they did was like, okay, let's build a trauma egg. And I'm like, a what? And they're like, a trauma egg. And we had to come with this massive piece of paper, like a big art, not cardboard, but like big giant piece of paper. And you would draw a giant egg on there. And they're like, starting at the first memory, let's work all the way through every memory and every bad situation that you've ever had in your life. And you literally build a trauma egg.
Wow.
And that was like phase 1. And then that's how they kind of like build their therapy off of this trauma egg. And then the next thing they did was intimacy circles. Like it's like a dartboard. It like looks like a dartboard. It's like bullseyes. They're like, who's in the middle of this thing? And by the time I built my intimacy circles, it was so out of whack. I didn't have any of the right connections in the right spaces. And what's supposed to be in the middle of the dartboard is you and your creator. I was just like triaging and putting whoever else in there, but I wasn't even in the middle of my circle. That's why my health was off, my spiritual game was off, my relationship game was, everything was off. And so we worked through that. And then by the time you do all these modalities of therapy, my favorite's EMDR, because you really move the needle. Like if I thought about my mom dying, because she died in my arms, and I thought about that moment where like my dad's losing his mind and my mom's taking her last breath and my brother's crying and I'm reading Bible passages to my mom, it was such a traumatic experience that I would immediately start crying. Like I couldn't even talk about it. But through EMDR, they work through that to where they take it from a level 10 to like a 0. Mm-hmm. And it took an entire week's worth of sessions before I was able to, like, I just worked through it.
Yeah.
And I realized that was a beautiful thing. I got to experience that with my mom, and she wouldn't want me carrying that weight forward. And so I was finally able to process through all that. And it was like 1,000 pounds lifted off, and I had clarity, and I was like, okay, now I know what I need to do over the next year or two, and probably forever, to stay becoming that man that I knew I needed to be in order to find a valuable woman that would appreciate it. And right as I was working through all that, I met Maria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for a long time, for a year or so, I didn't talk to anybody because I was just working.
Yeah.
And then she shows up, and I actually freaked out in the beginning. If you ask her, she was like, dude, you're crazy, bro. Because as soon as I met her, I knew instantly, like, this is different. Like, this is crazy. Like, instant connection, cosmic stars blasting, and insta love. But it freaked me out because I had only experienced that one other time in my life.
Yeah.
And that's when my daughter was born.
But I feel like you were very equipped at that moment, whether you realized it or not, because you were doing the work and you were cracked open.
I was excited about it and scared to death at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were scared to death. You just go for it anyway.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
And now you're in this beautiful relationship, and you guys live together and everything, and you're in this reinvention with this new company. What is next? Like, I want to know what your big why is, like your big picture. What are you going for?
I want to continue to just doing the work that I've been doing for the last couple of years. I want to continue to be the greatest dad on planet Earth. You know, it's my obligation to raise non-entitled, fantastic human beings. I didn't grow up with much money. They grow up with lots of resources. I'm scared that they're going to grow up entitled. So every day I'm like, okay, how do I like work on their mindset and their personal development and their psychology, just shifting it just a little bit so they really appreciate this. And they still have a very strong work ethic. They have a very big drive. They're charitable. They're servants at their core. All the things that I wish I would have had growing up, just teaching them the money game, teaching them the psychology of money, teaching them how to be a good human being. So that's a big part of what I spend energy on. I want to be the greatest significant other to Maria I possibly can be. I've said this in other podcasts, but I want to say it here because I think it's really important for your audience. I've screwed a lot of stuff up in my past relationship, but I've learned from it. And so Dean Graziosi gave me some of the best advice I had ever had from a relationship standpoint. He said, imagine if your girl can watch a video at the end of every single day. And in that video was every one of your private thoughts, every email that you sent, every DM that you've done, every private conversation you had with your boys. And at the end of the day, she got to watch that. And when she did, if she was more proud of you and more in love with you, then you won the day.
Wow.
If she was pushed further away from you or felt more unsafe or uncertain, then you lost the day.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, this goes hand in hand with the therapy. Like in therapy, they taught me a couple of really important lessons. First off, there's green light behavior, yellow light behavior, and red light behavior. That's pretty obvious, but a lot of people do yellow light behavior and they don't even realize they're doing it, and that's why they're failing in their relationships. The other thing they said that was a major click for me was the reason I was failing so bad is because you cannot give what you do not have. And I couldn't give anybody in my world unconditional love because I didn't unconditionally love me. And once I started working on the me part, the unconditional love for everybody else started coming out. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm such a better partner now, a better friend now, a better significant other now, better dad, because I'm showing that real, I'm not being selfish anymore. I'm leaning in on it. And so now every day I wake up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to win this day with Maria. Like, I'm going to win this day. She's going to watch that movie and she's going to be so
over
proud
there,
of me.
just.
She's going to love me so much more today.
She has so much ammo on you too now because she was like, I watched that movie in your mind today, Cody. It was a good movie, or maybe, I don't know, what was the movie like today?
Yeah.
You can pull that one out. But I have a feeling that you guys are going to just continue to blossom. I'm obsessed with her. I think you guys I've never seen you so happy. I'm so proud of you.
I tell her that every day.
I'm so proud of you. And I love love stories.
What? Our anniversary? Oh, yeah. So that's another weird thing. I met Maria November 30th.
I met Chris November 29th.
No way. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Well, my mom's birthday is November 30th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we met on my mom's birthday, and I told her that the other day. She started when. Yeah, she didn't know. I waited a while to tell her that. But anyway, also when I was flying on a plane, it was right after my mom passed, and I felt her spirit. I was sitting on the plane. I just started crying. Like, this is like a week after she passed. I felt her spirit all around me, and the message was, I'm going to move things around for you. I'm going to move things around for you. And I felt it, and that's the next, like 5 days later, I went to therapy.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that with me. All right, I'm going to flip it around a little bit. I want to back up a tiny bit because I really want people to get some tactical tools from you because you're so brilliant.
Okay.
Get outside of your comfort zone and into your best life, one small step at a time.
You're starting a new business, you're reinventing, and there's a lot of people listening to this right now that are reinventing in some way, shape, or form. And you're starting a new business, like in a new area that you haven't really done before. You've done a little bit of it with building and things like that. But starting from square one, the clever investor, Cody Sperber, with everything that you know, starting a new business, what are some of the non-negotiable things that you're going to put into place? Or if somebody else is listening to this and they're starting from scratch, from zero, step one, what are the non-negotiables that you need to have in your business to make it successful?
Oh, that's a big question.
Give me 3.
Okay. Well, first off, I'm bringing in the right team.
Okay.
Immediately, I'm leveraging every relationship I have to bring in the right team. And money is not going to hold me back from hiring the most insane talent I possibly can. With the new business, speed is everything. Momentum is everything.
Yeah. Oh.
And phase one is getting clarity on what your new business is and where you're going and what that vision is for that business. So that was the first part of what I was working on, was just getting real clarity on what Floor Daddy was going to look and feel like, what the team was going to look like, who I wanted around me, what our marketing strategy was going to be, what the offer was going to be, all that stuff. Once I got really good clarity on that, I went enrolling. I needed partners. Partners are the key for a guy like me. I'm not going to, at 45 years old, go be a floor installer technician guy. So I went and recruited 3 other people, and I pitched them on the idea. And your job as an entrepreneur is really to be a great enroller. But you have to have clarity, because as an entrepreneur, you need to be able to tell somebody, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is why we do it, and this is what's in it for you if we do it together. And that's my job as the guy that's like charging forward with this business. And I enrolled 3 of my friends that were very talented, one a great operator, one that I knew would be great at the install side of things, and one that would run the business as the CEO. And then I was the founder and the funder of the thing and the idea of it. And so that was step one. And then I started leveraging all my relationships. I found the old CMO of one of the biggest flooring companies in town, and I immediately recruited and hired them as a CMO. And then I went and I found the lead installer of another flooring company, one of the largest flooring companies in town, and I stole them. So I'm ruthless when it comes to like, hey, what are they paying you? What are they doing for you? Do they know your wife's name and your kid's name? Like, does your business really care about you, or are they just cutting you a check? And once I got my way in there, I just ruthlessly started picking people off.
Okay, so team, number one. Building that team.
Yeah, because the first few months of a new business, all that momentum is the most important, and you got to get the speed up really fast. You got to go fast. I also hired a consultant, somebody that was doing about $2 million a month in North Carolina. And I said, hey, I know you have a business in North Carolina. You're doing $2 million a month. We want to start the exact same business in Arizona. Can I basically steal your model, but do it in Arizona? Because I also think that they're a potential exit partner for us. So I reverse engineered where I wanted to end, and I hired the CEO of that company as our consultant for $15,000 a month. And I'm like, and he was like, dude, you're smart.
Really
like
smart.
You're looking at this like, and I'm telling him 3 years from now, I want minimum $60 million. Like three years from now, like, and I might even increase it to $100 million because I think I can get there. I think if we're doing $3 million plus a month, and I'm as aggressive as I am on marketing, I think I can get us there. I think I can get us $100 million for this business.
Amazing. So team is first, consultant, so mentorship, like what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And then number 3.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Number 3.
I'll give you a question then.
Yeah.
What do you think is more important in sales or marketing? For first.
Sales.
Sales
cures everything. Everybody gets focused on marketing. Marketing's cool, and I love marketing. I just think the sales energy has to be there.
I'm with you.
Yeah, the sales energy has to be there.
You have to make money in order to market. So you got to start getting money and revenue in the door. I love it. So,
Yeah. All right, I like that.
Sales?
I would say sales.
Because you need to get in there, you need to start selling, you need to get customers, right? And then the engine starts rolling, and then you can increase marketing spend, and you can do all the fun stuff with the brand and everything.
You're so smart, Jen.
Well, I learned from the best.
That's right.
Yes. Sales is everything. All right. So is there anything else that you feel like you want to tell the audience, anything that you've learned from this reinvention? Somebody that is sitting here listening, and if you're still here, like, and you're invested in this, first of all, good job, congratulations. You are meant to be here. You're probably curious about like what the next evolution is of you, because like Cody, like I've watched you evolve into a totally different version of yourself, and it's amazing and beautiful, and it's not easy to do that, especially at this point in life and how successful you were before, and of course how successful you're becoming. What would you say to the person listening?
Well, first off, I would say, like I said earlier, your gut's screaming at you. You know whether you're in alignment with your words and your thoughts and your actions. That's you will never get to where you want to go if you can't take care of your shit first. Like the psychology side of things is off if you're hiding your pain and vices. that's where it all begins. So I would do a self-analysis and go, okay, am I in alignment? Am I doing positive things? It's like the health side of things has to be there. There is a direct connection between health and wealth. My mom, I would give every dollar I've ever made, and I've made my business and my brand. I've done over $500 million worth of real estate transactions. Clever Investor has sold over $100 million worth of education. That's like one of 6 businesses I own that all do 8 figures a month. So it's like, I give it all away right now to have my mom's health back. So that's the foundation. Get your health on point. And if you're struggling in any way, if you're smoking weed at night or you're having a hard time with anxiety or anything like that, get yourself an ice bath.
Yeah.
Get yourself an ice bath. It's been one of the most fun game changers for me. It lowers my anxiety, makes me feel really great, helps with your perseverance. All of that.
All
I'm
of
a
it.
big
Same.
fan.
I do it.
And there's an affordable one that I use. What's the name of our ice bath brand? It's the cold plunge. It's Desert Plunge. Desert Plunge.
Send me the link later.
Yeah, they're great, and they're only a couple $1,000s for like a really high end, great ice bath.
Great.
Yeah, I love them.
I order bags of ice every weekend. Like I Uber Eats 15 bags of ice, like huge bags of ice because I don't have a cold plunge yet.
Oh my God.
I know. So I got to get on this.
All right. I'm
Okay.
going to get them to send you a cold plunge.
Okay. Cold plunge.
Yeah. But I would say work on the health side of things. That's the foundation. I have so much more energy. And men, get your testosterone checked. Yeah. If you're over 35, 40 years old, get your testosterone checked. That was a major game changer for me.
For your mental state, right?
All of it.
Yeah.
Sleep, mental, my physique, everything changed once I got my testosterone back on track. And then I would say figure out how to make your spiritual connection to your creator the foundation for everything you do. I was pretty strong atheist for many, many years. And I don't want to get too religious because everybody's got their own thing. But for me, I was anti-religion. I still kind of am a little bit of the anti-establishment. But you have to have a spiritual side. Whether it's meditation or you connecting, just being quiet and connecting with yourself and trying to get some clarity. If you're always on the go and you don't believe that there's anything bigger than you out there to connect with and to talk to and to pray with and to meditate on, it's a major missing piece in your life. And so once those intimacy circles, it's you and your creator in the center. And so it's just like any muscle that you develop. You have to work that relationship. And so I started going to church and I was just sitting in the back, being quiet, crying in the back of the church. And then eventually I started building that habit, and then I started praying more, and then I started reading the Bible. And it's been a journey, but it's been, more blessings have come my way because I reconnected with God than almost any other thing that I've done through my journey. So that would be my advice.
I'm going to end it there. I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful that we got to do this. I think that this was divine, that we got to do this last minute today. I feel so blessed.
Oh my gosh, I have some super, super exciting news for you. If you want to be a speaker, if you have ever spoken on stage before and you were like, I absolutely love this, I want to do this for my life, but I have no idea how to get on my very first stage, or you've been speaking and you really just want to leverage that speaking career and grow it and get on more stages, I have the most amazing opportunity for you. I'm going to give you the opportunity to potentially speak on our stage with an audience of 500 people alongside some of the top speakers in the world. We are hosting a competition called Speaking with the Stars at our next Build Your Brand Live event. It's your opportunity to compete with other speakers to get a chance to speak in front of 500 people at our major event alongside people like Jamie Kern-Lima, Trent Shelton, Jesse Itzler, me, my husband Chris, and a whole bunch of other amazing celebrity speakers. So if you want to speak, I dare you, I'm going to give you a little personal dare. Step outside your comfort zone and sign up for Speaking with the Stars. All you have to do is grab your ticket, send in a 5-minute video of you speaking about whatever topic you choose, and our judges will choose the top 15. Top 15 speakers are going to get an amazing flyer that you can post on social media saying that you're a finalist, and we will announce the final 6 speakers at the event. Those speakers will get to compete on stage in front of everybody and compete for their chance to win the top speaker of Build Your Brand Live. So if you're leaning in right now, I know you are, I hope you are, because this is a really great opportunity. grab the link in the show notes, click on it, and go grab your ticket and apply for Speaking with the Stars. I can't wait to see your video, and I hope to see you on the stage. See you there. Thank you for bringing your beautiful woman here with you, and thank you for being a guest on the Jen Gottlieb Show.
Yes, appreciate it.
Seriously.
Have your audience come check me out at official Cody Sperber, my new Instagram page.
Wait, say it again and say it to the camera. Which is his camera? Right
this
there.
one, at official Cody Sperber.
At official Cody Sperber. He's building up a brand new page, reinvention, brand new Cody, getting that algorithm now like dialed to exactly who you are now. I love it. Go check out Cody. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
Love you.